Am I an autumn or a winter? That is the question. From using AI and ChatGPT to tell me my best colors, to using different applications, I decided that it was time to get a real human. And after purchasing a course, I was able to be analyzed by the course organizer by submitting a ton of different photos. And I was told that I was an autumn. However, something always felt wrong. And so last year, when I found about Color Analysis Studio and I became a huge fan of their analysis method, I decided to give myself the ultimate birthday gift and have a proper color analysis. But because they're located in Australia and I live in the UK, I obviously couldn't fly and have it done in person. And so I decided to purchase an online color analysis and have them analyze me. I purchased what is called the deluxe package, which includes not only the PDF booklet that you get if you just get an online analysis, but I also had a 1 hour call with Giulia from Color Analysis Studio, who was able to really guide me through how she went through the entire process and what I should actually look at in different photos in order to help me understand my true season. And so, if you're like me and have warm brown eyes, medium brown hair, and you're not sure whether you're an autumn or a winter, then this video is going to help you to understand how to determine it. Plus, if you're someone who's curious about online color analysis and whether it actually can work from just a photo, then keep on watching because I'm going to show you every single step that I went through. So first of all, what's the purpose of color analysis? Number one, it is supposed to help you to find your best colors. So basically how colors work is that they cast a shadow on your neck, your chin, and your face. And so different colors will cast a different light. And so you can look very, very pale, very sickly in some colors, and very bright and healthy in others. And I'm sure if you've paid any attention to yourself in different photos, or if you're on camera, you have noticed that sometimes you look livelier and healthier than other situations. And so as someone who spends a lot of time on camera, not just filming videos, but also my role is to teach and coach people online, I really want to determine what my best colors are. Beyond that, I had actually started doing in-person events, public speaking, and I wanted to be captured in colors that actually looked really good on me. The other thing that motivated me to actually purchase color analysis is that I love styling, I love fashion, and I had every single color in my wardrobe. I had so many items. Some of them were in warm tones and some of them were in cold tones. And so putting them together wasn't always working. And I was really, really struggling to put good outfits together. And on top of that, I was really confused because I was analyzed as an autumn. And a lot of people said that because my skin looks a bit warm and my eyes look a bit warm, then I should be an autumn. But at the same time, I would normally get compliments when I'm wearing purples and pinks and bright yellows, which aren't necessarily autumn colors at all. And so I wanted to understand once and for all what my real color season is. So I purchased a color analysis, which at that point was 359 Australian dollars, which is about 200 British pounds. And I was sent a questionnaire and also was asked to provide a photo of me in a white t-shirt in a white background. So I sent Giulia and Alessandra this photo of myself, as well as some photos of my wardrobe, as it was spring at that point. It was early June, and so I had those reds and pinks and black and white. They also asked me what colors I was naturally drawn to, which colors I like to wear, and whether there were any colors that I wasn't actually a fan of. So after a few days, I actually got a request to submit a few more photos in different environments, in different lights, and also if I had any photos from childhood, they also asked me to send a couple. And so I sent them a lot of different selfies with and without makeup in different clothes, and also a couple of photos from when I was younger. And so at that point, we had arranged a date to meet, which was at the beginning of June. And I was super excited because I couldn't wait to figure out what my color season was. So the reason why I wanted to do the color analysis with Giulia and Alessandra is because I find their method really, really logical and really structured in a way that my brain can capture it. And so the first thing that we had to determine is whether my undertone is actually cool or warm, because that will determine whether I could be a winter or an autumn. They're completely opposite in terms of color seasons. Just as a disclaimer, there are a lot of different methods that people recommend, such as looking at your veins, and I can't tell whether my veins are blue or green. They're kind of in the middle. People also suggested doing the lipstick test, and again, I've tried doing different types of makeup onto different sides of my face, and I just couldn't tell which one is better. And so that's why we're not great at typing ourselves, and having someone external looking at you for the first time and spotting different things can be super, super helpful. So when we started the call, Julia actually said that we needed to determine whether I liked black and those winter colors because they were just nice colors that I was drawn to and I'm used to wearing them, or whether I like them because there is a perceived sense of harmony between the colors and my face. And so something that I learned is that we often confuse the overtone, which is the color on the surface of our skin, with the undertone. And what we're looking at is the undertone, the color beneath the surface. And that is why you need to submit a photo without any makeup, so that can really help us determine it. We started with the two reds, and straight away I asked Julia, what should I be looking for when comparing the pictures? Because that was the trickiest part for me. So she said, first look at the photo all together, and your skin should look smooth, clean, fresh, and in harmony. And then you can focus on any specific areas, such as like your forehead, your lips, your eyes, and so on. And so we started with looking at the warm red. And I noticed that it put a little bit of a yellow light on me. Julia said that's normal because warm red is naturally kind of more yellowy, so it puts that yellow light on you. And so the question she asked me is it flattering because it's matching with me, or does it look like it doesn't belong in my face? And so we realized that it doesn't belong in my face because I look yellower. Now, some people can say that you look more colorful, and that is oftentimes us perceiving that this is the color that is not actually part of my own complexion. And so my skin doesn't look as healthy or radiant. Now, if you look at me with the more pinky red, more cool tone red, you can see that my skin looks actually less colorful, but it looks cleaner and fresher, and there is a sense of harmony. And so I was leaning more towards the cool tone than I was towards the warm. Then we had to compare warm salmon pink with cool icy pink. And I have to say, the salmon pink is a color that I always felt made me look really, really sickly. And so in here, again, we can see that there is a lot of yellow reflected, and you can look at my chin, my cheeks, my whole entire face kind of loses definition and almost looks flat. And that is because Julie explained the skin doesn't absorb that color, it stays on the surface and kind of everything looks really, really flat. Versus the pink, even though it is quite light and probably isn't exactly the best shade on me, we're not looking for best shades in here, it creates much more of a 3D face. And so in here, I think the difference was much more obvious. And again, vote goes towards the cooler tone pink. After those two things, I just said, well, that feels very validating because I genuinely don't like myself. And this sort of salmon pink is a very autumnal springtime color and like is very warm. And I never like myself in it. The next comparison was really interesting, and that was navy versus brown. I told Julia that I always felt like I have to wear so much makeup when I'm wearing brown. And I learned that the correct color will look like it puts makeup on you without you having to put that much makeup. Versus in an incorrect color, you'll naturally feel like something is missing. And so you might be drawn to putting a bit more makeup to create a sense of harmony. And that is where she emphasized that she herself is a cool winter, but has warmer brown eyes and brown hair. And oftentimes we are typed as autumns, but skin is actually the most important. And so the color of your eyes doesn't make that big of a difference because we look at the undertone. And so here she told me to actually look at my eyes and at my irises. And she said, yes, it is brown, which is technically a warm color. However, that brown is very clear, it's not muddy, it's not muted, it's very, very clear and bright. And then your sclera, the white in your eyes, is also very icy cool. It's not ivory and warm, it's very white, very icy. And she also said, okay, look at your lips in the two different photos and see how the blue makes them appear more colorful, more healthier, more like raspberry and a little bit like I have a balm or lipstick on, versus with the brown, it kind of looks out of place. And so again, we had a vote for the cooler side. The next one with the two different whites, again, there is a difference, but I didn't see that big of a difference. And she said that the white makes my eyes pop a little bit. I look very awake, more energetic, versus with the yellowish one, just makes me look a little bit more tired and muted, and I lose the sort of spark. And I agreed, but these are both colors that I quite like, so it wasn't very easy for me to spot that big of a difference. And finally, we had to compare silver versus gold. And she said that in here, if anyone doubts whether you're warm or cool, this is probably the easiest test for me. And so she said, look at the silver and how it emphasizes your features. And so here is a photo of me actually wearing something silver versus something gold. And you can see how much more clear my face looks in the silver, even though in here I have absolutely zero makeup. And it doesn't mean that you can never wear a gold necklace if you are better looking in silver, because any sort of jewelry, unless it's like hugely massive in here, most jewelry doesn't cast that much of a light on the face. So even if you're cool tone, you can still wear gold jewelry. If you're warm tone, you can still wear silver. That's okay. Doesn't have that massive effect. However, when it comes to makeup, that can create a big difference. And so you can look into makeup and look into having more silver makeup versus the more warm, muddy brown shades. Out of the 5 tests, we had 4.5, 5 votes for cool. And so we determined that I am for sure cool toned. Now we had to determine whether I'm a winter or a summer, and that was important. However, she said there's no way you're a spring or an autumn because none of the tests pointed to you being warm, or there wasn't even a battle where both of them looked kind of good. The next step in finding your season is determining your level of intensity. So if you're medium to bright, then you're going to be a winter or a spring if you're warm toned. Or if you are more medium to muted, then you're going to be a summer if you're cool toned, or an autumn if you are warm toned. And so for me, because we had determined I'm cool, we had to find out what my level of intensity was. So she explained that soft colors have a little bit of a gray. And so any person that has sort of a layer of gray in their natural features is going to look automatically better in those more soft muted colors. Versus bright colors like this emerald look really well on people who have more clear colors in their features and high contrast. We compared the 2 different colors, the emerald and the sage, and you can see with the soft color how my jawline almost disappears. And it is not strong enough. It almost looks like the sage is disappearing because my features, even with my hair pulled back, they're really, really strong. Versus the emerald is actually supporting the strength of my natural colors. And so with determining that my intensity is medium to bright and I'm cool toned, we determined that I am a winter. And this felt so validating. I told Giulia that even if we don't find out what my subseason is, I don't care, because even figuring out that I'm not an autumn, I'm not warm and muted, but I'm cool and bright, it just validated my intuition. It validated the fact that I didn't feel great in all of those autumn colors. But at the same time, it also showed me that I can just trust myself a little bit more. By the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, please give me a thumbs up. It really helps with the algorithm. So the next step is something that you may or may not want to do, but if you get a color analysis with Giulia and Alessandra, you're going to figure out your subseason. And so if you are a winter like me, you can wear all of the winter colors. They're all going to look good. But we wanted to determine whether my main characteristic, my main chromatic feature is my brightness, my depth, or my coolness. And so based on that, I could be winter bright, winter deep, or winter cool, which is also known as true winter in other people's systems. So at that point, I told Giulia that I don't think I'm a cool winter. I should be able to tell if I was, but I would say I'm probably winter deep. But let's go and compare the different colors. And so in here, you're basically draped in very similar colors, let's say greens or pinks, but in slightly different variations. And so, for example, for winter bright, all of those colors are extremely bright, extremely saturated. That's their main characteristic. And we figured out that they work really well on me. So this emerald green worked really well. The ultraviolet was good, but it felt almost a little bit too intense, and I felt that I would need a bit more makeup to actually wear it. But as a color, it clears up my skin, it looks good. Cyan was not as intense as the ultraviolet in the previous one, so that was better. But I almost felt like I want to make it a tad darker and it would be perfect. But it was still very nice. And then finally, we have magenta. This is one of my favorite colors, and I love that. I think it looks very good. It's a very cool color. There's no warmth in here, and I felt that was a good color. And so overall, probably 7 or 8 out of 10 on those colors. I think they looked good. There wasn't one that was like, this is stunning, but it looked good. Then we moved to winter deep. And so the main characteristic of all of those colors is that they're very dark, because they have a drop of black added to all of them. And so we had first petroleum, and I really like that color. Julia said that it looks very sophisticated on me, and especially with, let's say, silver earrings or raspberry lipstick, it would look really, really good. When we started the analysis, I was describing the colors that I really like, and I said to Julia, I feel very much at ease and very comfortable in black. And she told me now that this is not actually what she hears from people. Oftentimes people say that they wear black because it's very easy, it's easy to combine, easy to buy, it doesn't stain very easily. But very rarely people say that they actually feel really good, very comfortable in it. But for me, I feel really good. I feel like myself when I wear black. And so this color was really good on me. It's strong, but it doesn't overpower me. And Julia said, we just need to compare this to blue navy to see if black or blue navy is better. We also had violet, again, very, very cool and deep color. And this is a great one, she said, to use near the face. And we also had orchid. And as much as I like magenta, this is magenta with a drop of black. And I feel like this was such a good color on me. You can see my eyes look very icy, even though they're brown. It matches with the color of my lips. And again, I think that I preferred winter deep to winter bright. This is probably 9 out of 10. And then we have the winter cool palette. And so the main characteristic of all of those colors is that they're very, very cool. So this is pine green, a very interesting color that I didn't have anything in. And this is actually cooler than the previous one, petroleum. It doesn't have any yellow in it. It's literally very, very cool toned. And Julia said that your eyes really sparkle. You look like you have a little bit of lipstick on, even though it's literally nothing. And then we looked at the blue navy. So one of the photos that I had sent Julia was me with this navy jumpsuit. And she said, when I saw that picture, I just said, autumn people never look this good in navy. And so we had this, and I have to say, this color felt really, really right. It wasn't a color that I wore almost ever, but it felt very, very matching, very complementary to all of my features. And then we had cobalt. So when we compare, for example, to the winter bright, the cyan, this level of blue, the cobalt, felt a lot better because it's more intense, but it's also extremely cool and it's not too light or too dark. And the funny thing is that I actually had a jumper in this color, which I really, really loved. But when I was told that I'm on autumn, this is the anti-autumn color, right? It's very cool and very intense. And so I sold that jumper and I have had to get some new ones. And then we had cherry red, which, as Julia said, is extremely cool for a red. It's intense, but it's not as intense as some of the colors from Winter Bride. And again, it's not too light or not too deep. It's kind of in the middle. And she told me that all the berries, raspberries, cherries, blackberries, blueberries, all of those berries are in the winter color season. And so every time I see it in makeup, I could safely use those colors because they will be cooler toned. So all of the subgroups, as expected, looked well on me because I'm a winter and these are all winter colors. And so Julia said we need to compare the staple colors for each group. Is my characteristic brightness, depth, or coolness? And so we said that this cyan is a little bit too light, so we can exclude it. And then we had to compare the navy and the black. They both look good. I can't say one of them looks much better, but the navy is a bit better because it's cooler and my undertone is very cool, apparently. And so for me, I was so surprised that my main characteristic out of the 3 winter characteristics is actually the coolness of my skin. And again, this is not something that I expected or something that I could have seen in the 2-3 years that I was trying to determine my season. And so in here, I really like that Giulia and Alessandra from Color Analysis Studio, they do something called the sister palette test. And so if I was a winter deep, then I would have to work well in colors from the autumn deep. And if I was a winter cool, I would have to work really well in the summer cool colors. So that was the only part of the analysis that normally happens if you go in person, but in here we had determined that navy worked better and summer winter cool. But you can see if we were to compare the autumn deep colors with the summer cool colors, you can see that some of the autumn deep ones, like the blue and the red, are sort of okay, but then the brown and the orange are definitely way worse. Versus with the summer cool colors, all of them work quite well. And so what Julia did is she showed me the summer cool colors, whose main characteristic is also the coolness, but they're a touch softer. They're a little bit less intense and a little bit lighter as well. You can have this myrtle with any of my other winter greens. This mauve can be really great as an eyeshadow, and I love this color in an eyeshadow. This Savoy, again, is good for things like t-shirts, and maybe I have cobalt and Savoy in a stripe. And the Summer Cherry, still very nice, again, works well for makeup. We basically said that, yes, I can wear the summer cool colors, I can borrow some of them. They're not my best colors, but they're still good because they are cool. Versus if I had to put myself in any of the autumn deep colors, yes, they're deep, but they're also really warm. And so they definitely look worse on me. And so I got the result, and I also got this color palette, which has a selection of winter cool colors and also suggestions for makeup, for jewelry, for all of those things, and also a few colors to avoid. And I just laughed when I saw the avoid section because it was literally very warm green, ochre yellow, orange, warm red, and brown. And my entire wardrobe up until that time literally had so many of those colors. And so at that point, I asked Giulia, okay, what am I supposed to do now? Can I still wear colors not in the palette? And she gave me some advice, which I'm going to talk about in one of my next videos. So was it actually worth to have an online color analysis? As you can see, absolutely yes. I not only felt super validated that I was right the entire time to feel a bit off in my autumn colors, but it was also so helpful to have all of my questions answered. And I 100% recommend doing the deluxe package or the online analysis if you've ever been on the fence, because Giulia and Alessandra are amazing. I genuinely think this is one of the best investments I did in the past year, and it's really, really helped me to also find my best colors and change my wardrobe to suit me a lot more. Because you can imagine going from autumn, which is warm and more muted, into winter, which is cool and bright, would mean that a lot of my items I had were no longer my best clothes. And so in my next video, I'm actually going to show you all of the different changes I made over the course of over a year, and I'll show you how my wardrobe has changed. So if this is something that you're interested in seeing, definitely hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications, and I will see you in the next one.